It appears that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' latest public outing at the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special has created a lot of hubbub, especially regarding Blake's current lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. On the surface, they were seen smiling and being carefree, which many noticed as strange given the gravity of the claims Blake has made against workplace discrimination and retaliation. Ryan's contribution to a joke in one of the skits, poking fun at the current legal crisis, appeared to undercut the actual distress Blake says he is feeling. This type of behavior raises a big question regarding the integrity of how their actions reflect the gravitas of the lawsuit. For Blake, it's whether or not they can prove that the backlash and public attention she's receiving are directly attributed to Justin's actions, and not her own media visibility. But Justin's defense is that he is asking whether her own conduct, such as endorsing products when talking about a movie about domestic violence, can have done greater damage to her reputation than his actions. By joking about the incident on live television in front of millions, Blake and Ryan jeopardize her credibility in court. If Blake is suing for extreme emotional distress, the public ridicule of the incident may diminish her case. In addition, Justin's attorneys can use the incident to maintain that Blake's public actions do not match what she's claiming in the suit. Their behavior may imply that they do not fully comprehend the severity of the case, or are minimizing its severity. The matter of power and influence is also important here. Blake and Ryan are extremely influential in Hollywood, whereas Justin is not. If they keep using that power in such a public manner, it might boomerang by giving the impression that they are using their position to belittle Justin, further substantiating his allegations of being bullied by them. Finally, these public appearances tend to make Blake's legal case more complicated, since her conduct appears to be at odds with the very premises for which she's suing in regards to emotional harm and damage to reputation. If her lawsuit relies on establishing that Justin's behavior has brought irreparable harm, her involvement in such a carefree, publicity-strewn public event may make it more difficult to persuade the court of the seriousness of her distress. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday, February 17, 2025, and oh boy, we have a wild topic today. At the weekend, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were making news for an extremely weird PR moment that continues to stir. They appeared on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special, which aired live on NBC during prime time. Millions of people watched, and this was what appeared to be their first public outing together since Blake sued Justin Baldoni. But here's where it gets interesting. Blake and Ryan on the red carpet were all smiles, unbothered and seemingly calm. Does that square with what Blake is alleging privately in her ongoing lawsuit? Certainly, it does raise some eyebrows. Blake's lawsuit in New York has been unfolding publicly, and their cheerful charade is quite the contrast to the serious allegations Blake's making against Justin. Now, events took a dramatic turn when Ryan Reynolds made an appearance during the SNL anniversary show and joined in on a sketch. He participated in a Q&A with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, in which celebrities from the audience were the ones posing questions. Though the entire scenario was scripted, Ryan couldn't help but take a jab at his wife's ongoing legal drama. When questioned about how things were going, he replied jokingly, "Why, what have you heard?" making a veiled reference to all the media hype over Blake's lawsuit. But here's the thing. Was it a joke, or did Ryan just complicate things for his wife? As we get into the details of Blake Lively's suit against Justin Baldoni, it's apparent that things are becoming more complicated. On one hand, Blake is suing for workplace discrimination and retaliation, while Justin countered with accusations of defamation, extortion, emotional distress, and invasion of privacy. For him, Blake attempted to sabotage his film, and he insists that her claims are baseless. Blake, for his part, asserts that Justin and his cohorts hatched a smear campaign against her, something which has irrevocably hurt her image. But this is the million-dollar question. Blake's going to have to go up an uphill climb trying to prove her point. The foundation of her suit is being able to present that all of the public hostility directed her way stems from something done by Justin. But establishing intent is a different ballgame altogether, and that's where things become complicated. A lot of people have been responding to Blake's actions online, particularly among the Colleen Hoover fan base, specifically book lovers of It Ends With Us. Can these responses possibly be linked to something more than the legal scandal? So what's your take on Blake and Ryan's public appearance and the backstage struggle? Let's dissect this, and don't forget to click that like button if you're keeping up with this case. Stay tuned as we further analyze the intricacies of this war. So, let's discuss the hubbub around Blake Lively's movie promo, shall we? Most were elated upon the announcement of the project, but events took a dramatic turn as promotion was underway. Rather than pushing solely for the film's serious theme, which involves domestic violence, DV, Blake appeared to be diverting the attention to her own business undertakings. And although she was publicizing a film about DV, she also took this opportunity to promote her alcohol line and a new hair care company. The problem here is that domestic violence is typically alcohol-related. Therefore, it was surprising to see Blake talking about her alcohol line in interviews for a film regarding such a touchy subject. Was it a PR faux pas, or was it just the course that the promotion needed to take? Blake maintains that she was only doing what was part of Sony's promotional strategy, but things get complicated from here. Justin has noted that the whole promotion, including what was being shared and how, was actually orchestrated by Blake and Ryan's production company, working in conjunction with Sony. So was Blake simply taking orders, or did she have more agency with the messaging than she's admitting? Now, let's get to the meat of the issue. Blake alleges that Justin's conduct has inflicted serious emotional distress upon her. She's alleging that she's been experiencing severe grief, anxiety, and fear. To be frank, if Blake's allegations are accurate, they're extremely serious. Any retaliation against a person who reports sexual harassment is both illegal and troubling, so we can't dismiss her allegations. But here's the thing. Justin has the right to defend himself. Perhaps the most frequent defense in cases like this is that what the defendant did wasn't as bad as it's been made out to be, or that they've been misunderstood or overblown. In Justin's case, his lawyers can contest Blake's account of events and undermine her credibility. And when it gets to the emotional distress she's alleging to be suffering, the defense might say that it wasn't a direct result of their actions. If Blake can't establish that the public outcry she's experiencing is a direct consequence of Justin's actions, she might be in a difficult position in court. If she is unable to join the dots between his involvement and the media circus, this courtroom battle may have a very different direction, and that is where it gets complicated. If this backlash is because of outside circumstances and not Justin's actions, Blake may not be doing too well in the courtroom. Let's dissect what's actually going on here. Blake Lively asserts that Justin Baldoni and his crew have inflicted severe emotional distress upon her. She states it's been so traumatic that it's affecting her capacity to lead a normal life. But here's where things get a bit confusing. Justin's lawyers are presenting a defense that could potentially dispute her allegations. They're actually claiming that it's Blake's actions, Blake's words, that are ultimately responsible for causing her emotional anguish in the media. In short, if she's troubled, they claim, it's because of what she's doing herself to bring on that trouble. They're also rejecting any claim of retaliation or that they have planned a smear campaign. Rather, Justin's crew asserts that they were prepared with a defense strategy to deal with the fabricated allegations that they already knew were bound to happen. Thus, the entire experience in Justin's perception has been an entire misperception, while Blake is firm on the accusations leveled against him being totally true. Let's move on and discuss what actually happened during the weekend. Why is this moment so dangerous in the midst of all that's happening? If you're involved in a lawsuit, trying to prove that you've been under emotional distress, anxiety, trauma, and grieving, the last thing you need to do is trivialize your experience, publicly, of all things. But that is precisely what took place when Ryan Reynolds, as part of a pre-arranged SNL sketch, poked fun at the incident and asked, "Why, what have you heard?" As people laughed. Blake had a feeling this was about to happen. She didn't know what Ryan was going to say, but she knew something would occur because he had a microphone on, and they were both involved in a rehearsed skit. So how does this impact Blake's case in court? If she's claiming to be experiencing extreme emotional distress, how does she account for publicly laughing at what happened? This is precisely where Justin's attorneys are going to strike. They're going to emphasize how Blake publicly ridiculed her own circumstances on a national broadcast on NBC during prime time. This isn't merely an error. It's going to be utilized against her in court, and it matters. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. One of Justin's legal tactics is to turn the tables, asserting that Blake has been the one conducting a smear campaign against him. He contends that Blake employed her clout, along with her influential connections, to bully him and commandeer a film she had no rights to. Justin's team is probably going to make the argument that this entire scenario has been manipulated all along, with Blake leveraging her position to turn things in her direction. So, with all on the line, how do Blake and Ryan justify this public ridicule of such a grave circumstance? It's certainly something that Justin's people will raise again and again in court, and it could have a big bearing on the case's outcome. Picture this. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds strut the red carpet at a nationally broadcast event, a broadcast seen by millions of viewers. In fact, the season premiere for SNL was watched by a whopping 5 million viewers. This is significant because it gives credibility to Justin Baldoni's assertions that Blake is the person who is using her influence and power to mock a serious matter. By going public in joining a joke, Blake's actions appear to be counter to the narrative she is attempting to sell in court. Justin's camp has been saying that Blake is still using her fame to belittle him and spin the situation in her direction. And here's where it gets complicated. If Blake is saying that Justin's behavior has led to emotional distress on her part, that she's been experiencing anxiety and trauma, then why would she be engaging in a joke about the very lawsuit she's bringing against him? Consider it. She shouldn't be resorting to the media or engaging in such a public spectacle as this. And yet, here she is, appearing in a live SNL sketch where her husband Ryan Reynolds makes a joke referencing the lawsuit and media circus that has surrounded it. This image makes it difficult to take her allegations seriously. Let's take it apart further. Blake is claiming that she's been so emotionally hurt by this that she can't live a normal life. But only a month and a half after suing, she's on a live, nationally televised show, making light of it. This directly contradicts her claims of extreme distress. If she really couldn't cope with the emotional weight of this case, why would she be strolling the red carpet, rubbing shoulders with A-list stars, such as Steven Spielberg and Kevin Costner? It doesn't compute. If she's really suffering from this backlash, why is she so easily mingling with the Hollywood elite on national television in front of millions of people? This is a giant red flag. It appears that she's attempting to establish that she's been reputationally harmed, but her behavior, engaging in a live, publicized event, doesn't align with her story. By making light of the situation on national TV, Blake is really going against the seriousness of the claims she's bringing to court. And Ryan, rather than supporting his wife during a serious situation, takes the chance to make light of the entire situation, much like he did in the Deadpool movies, where everything was light and self-mocking, even serious issues. This is where it gets even more difficult for Blake. If she's saying that this is inflicting irreparable harm on her, how can she account for being a part of making fun of it so openly? Justin's camp is going to pounce on this. They're going to say that if she can laugh at the very thing which is allegedly causing her so much emotional damage, how can she possibly say that she's been severely harmed by it? Justin Baldoni just can't help but tease Blake, and in a scenario like this, where feelings are meant to be the priority, it shouldn't be about joking. If Blake was really emotionally affected by all that was going on, she wouldn't be attending a public event like SNL, joking about the lawsuit. This type of action leaves the door open for Justin's team to jump on. It provides them with plenty of room to challenge her claims. Blake's ignorance of how she's being seen and how her actions are coming across is a big reason why she got so much heat in the first place. She appears to be totally unaware of the social consequences of her actions. It's like she exists in a bubble where she thinks she can get away with anything. When things don't work out for her, it's easy to blame someone else. Though there may have been some point where Blake was a victim in another scenario, her actions here, particularly her actions in public, simply don't align with the severity of the accusations she's making in her lawsuit. This only supports Justin's version of events that he's being bullied by a couple in Hollywood who have much more power than he does. Think about it. How much more ironic can you be than appearing on a red carpet for SNL, one of the most eagerly awaited events of the year, only to engage in a skit that satirizes the very thing you're suing someone for being a victim of? It doesn't do Blake any good whatsoever. She's still using her influence by trivializing her lawsuit. This does her no good. To add insult to injury, Blake has been leaking information to the press. She's been alleging that Justin is conducting a smear campaign, but Justin has been keeping a low profile, surfing in Hawaii with his family, staying away from the public eye. He's not on red carpets, making public appearances, or taking part in any kind of media blitz. The only public criticism he's ever made is in a podcast interview that was taped well before the lawsuit even existed. The truth is that Blake initiated this media cycle by approaching the New York Times. And now, Justin has a right to clear his name, while Blake keeps building her case by leveraging her authority and influence to further her argument. It becomes obvious that not only is she framing the issue, but also shaping public sentiment to her favor. But every time she uses her platform in these public functions and jokes at the expense of the lawsuit, she weakens her own suit. Ryan appears to be pointing out an important fact. Blake and her staff simply don't appear to get why public opinion has shifted against them. They're not acting like individuals who have been actually hurt. Sure, their reputations have been hurt, but much of that's due to their continued behavior which will probably be brought up in court against them. The case that Justin's lawyers might be able to make is sound. If Blake is genuinely being harmed reputationally, why on earth would she be turning up to a red carpet bash, schmoozing with A-list celebrities, including sitting beside Steven Spielberg? If reputational damage is really as bad as she is asserting, she would not be showing up for these kinds of big-ticket affairs. Yes, maybe there will be some uneasiness in the crowd, and people will not like to have dealings with them, but out in the world, losing followers on social media doesn't have to mean personal or professional detriment. Blake has another film, a Simple Favor sequel, and Ryan and Blake have other projects coming down the line. So how is Blake going to claim that she's experienced financial or professional loss due to Justin's behavior? If her personal brand and career were truly on the line, she wouldn't be plowing ahead with her endeavors so publicly. Blake's choices are also questionable. Who decided to hawk her hair care products at a red carpet premiere for a movie about domestic violence? Blake. Who decided to play it lightly in interviews, dismissing the seriousness of what was happening? Blake. Who decided to hawk booze at a delicate time? Once more, Blake. The above actions have the look and feel of directly flying in the face of the arguments she's presenting about the effect on her life, reputation, and career. Whether or not people like or dislike Justin Baldoni is of no matter. How Blake and Ryan are going about this does not make sense. They're weakening the gravity of the lawsuit that they've brought by doing what they're doing, and how they're staging their court battle in the press only leaves further questions. They reprimand Justin's people for giving interviews, and they're doing exactly the same thing. This inconsistency is going to damage their case, so it makes it appear as if they don't really care about the legal process. They're concerned more with media and public reaction. The hypocrisy in this situation is that although they've spent weeks stating that Justin is using the media to try this case in public, they're now doing it. By getting on a national platform, they're doing exactly what they accuse Justin of. This isn't about justice. It's about reputational PR. It's damage control. They want to win, and winning in their minds means fixing their public image. But if they really wanted to fix their reputation, the best thing they could do is remain silent. Think about what they did, and own up to it. By keeping on going out and doing these things, they're just making things worse for themselves. Rather than looking back and changing their ways, they're digging themselves into a hole. This will only benefit Justin's case, and it's obvious they're not doing this the right way. It's everywhere in the news, and a lot of people are thinking the same thing. So what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.